Over these years, noticeable progress has been made in this international forum, which has considerable contributions in countering and preventing e- violent extremism. Egypt is co-chairing the GCTF at a time where the international community is facing major challenges that exacerbate terrorism. This includes a complex political conflicts, sharp economic downturn that had a sharp impact on developing countries. Add to this climate change. So in order to boost international cooperation, we have to abide with our international obligation while countering terrorism. And the international community has been making diligent efforts in combating international terrorism, particularly with the territorial defeat of Daesh in Syria and Iraq. Terrorism itself did not recede. The gravities and severity of their crimes are on the rise. With the FTFs returning to their countries and threatening their stability. These terrorist international organizations are having and evolving and increasing wide reach in the African continent with a high toll of casualties and a deteriorating economic situation. With the increasing threat of these terrorist organizations and the complex and the associated complex in the efforts to counter them, these groups have come to embrace online practices and they have come to use nefarious practices for further recruitments, and this includes the reliance on cryptocurrency, drones, and frontier technology in order to boost the reach. Egypt, over the past decade, has faced an unprecedented wave of terrorist waves threatening the security of its people and the resources. Egypt has paid a high price. However, thanks to the sacrifices of the armed forces and the police, we have managed to reduce the threat. We have adopted a comprehensive approach that includes security as well as social, economic, and development measures. We have countered the deviant rhetoric that the terrorists use, particularly through the initiative of His Excellency President Sisi. After this, the efforts made by the Azhar Observatory for countering extremism, as well as the Salam or Peace Center that's under the Egyptian IFTA agency. As a co-chair with the EU, we intend to put on our agenda, high on our agenda, countering extreme terrorism by adopting an approach that's based on our national efforts and enhancing social and economic development. We have planned activities and programs that are in line with the needs of African countries that would boost their efforts in achieving the UN counterterrorism strategy. Yesterday, jointly with the CCCPA and the EU, we held a workshop on the comprehensive response to the evolving terrorist threats that face Africa. And in light of what I just mentioned, and as the GCTF is central during our co-chairing, we will make our best in order to boost our efforts with an added impact with the help of the member states. And as such, today we were keen to include an interactive dialogue on the methods and the working methods of the GCTF. We will also focus on mainstreaming women's role while countering terrorism and violent extremism, particularly with a focus on criminal justice. Ladies and gentlemen, I call upon you to interact actively in the upcoming discussions during the planned panels. This will include our common vision with the EU and on how we plan to lead it. I hope that we will be able to reach actionable results that would enhance our efforts in counterterrorism. In closing, Egypt will spare no efforts in collaborating with our partners in the EU to build on the past successes in order to reach new horizons and to develop the GCTF's objectives and role. Thank you so much.
معالي الوزير، أصحاب المعالي والسيادة والزملاء الكرام، شكرا جزيلا لمعالي الوزير على استضافته لنا في القاهرة، وشكرا على كلمات الترحيب الطيبة. يشرفنا أن نفتتح معكم اللجنة التنسيقية.
Your presence this morning shows the importance of this event for Egypt, and as representative of the European Union, I would like to thank you for your personal engagement. Egypt is a key partner of the European Union. With this co-chair, we want to open a new chapter in our bilateral security cooperation, and we want to advance a common vision within the Global Counter-Terrorism Forum. This event also marks the official departure of Morocco as co-chair of the GCTF. Thank you, Morocco, for your extensive contribution to the forum. Dear colleagues, I would like to make 3 remarks today. First, GCTF is celebrating its 12th anniversary this year. Over the last 12 years, the global terrorism landscape has changed significantly. We have seen the rise and the fall of Daesh. We have seen a growing threat of terrorism across the Sahel, as well as in West Africa and in the Horn, and increasingly again, the risk of terrorism in and from Afghanistan. The threat of terrorism is not only changing geographically. We have been increasingly facing the threats posed by radicalization online and new challenges such as foreign terrorist fighters and lone actors. Addressing those evolving threats requires us to keep learning from each other and to implement best practices from all members across this forum. This is GCTF's core business. Since its creation, the GCTF has produced 36 framework documents and toolkits with over 400 good practices. In our previous capacity as co-chair of the East Africa Capacity Building Working Group, together with Egypt, the two of us have spared no effort to raise awareness about GCTF good practices in the region. We have done that through workshops, exchanges among practitioners, and capacity building activities. So we come together with Egypt with some lessons from this experience and some ideas for the GCTF as a whole. This brings me to my second point. What are the objectives of our co-chairmanship? As the threat of terrorism is rapidly evolving in Africa, our first objective is to help tackle this threat across the continent. The GCTF can make a difference here. This requires embracing more African partners within the forum. To remain fit for purpose, we think this forum should be more inclusive and bring additional African members in. We also think that we should work with a wider range of actors from the ground: governments, local communities, civil society. We should engage more stakeholders, including civil society, in our working groups and in our initiatives. Second objective, we should make full use of the GCTF-inspired institutions to better leverage expertise and resources. Since taking over as co-chair, we have invested an additional 18 million euros in the Global Community Engagement and Resilience Fund, 5 million in EDAIA, and 3 million in the International Institute for Justice and the Rule of Law. Our objective is to untap the potential of those three institutions to translate GCTF priorities and GCTF policies into concrete results on the ground. Effective counterterrorism comes with strategies that prevent acts of terrorism, prosecute those responsible for such acts, and promote and protect human rights and the rule of law. On all three fronts, the three institutions bring a clear added value. For example, the GSURF, with development programs combined with national action plans to build resilience against violent extremism. EDAIA's actions towards youth and students, school staff, and religious leaders, or capacity building activities organized by the International Institute for Justice and the Rule of Law for justice practitioners. So we want to build on those achievements and work closely with African partners. And I'm pleased to see the African Union represented in Cairo today. We will also continue the GCTF's excellent collaboration with the United Nations and other organizations such as the Council of Europe. This collaboration was crucial to shape international consensus on common challenges such as the issue of foreign terrorist fighters. Third and last remark, a word about preventing and countering violent extremism. If we want to tackle radicalization and recruitment for terrorism, we need indeed to invest more in prevention. This has been discussed over the last 2 days, including during a joint session of the Countering Violent Extremism Working Group and the Foreign Terrorist Fighters Working Group. This crucial issue is typically one that requires cooperation across borders, across regions and societies. We will be pleased to work with Morocco in an upcoming joint initiative on the Abu Dhabi Memorandum. The objective will be to develop good practices on education for the prevention and countering of violent extremism and translate them into manuals and curricula that can be tailored to specific needs. Because what really matters is to translate all the framework documents produced under the umbrella of the GCTF into concrete policies. It is the only way to facilitate operational follow-up and achieve tangible results. This is why it's so important to hear testimonials, as we will do this morning, that show how the GCTF can make a difference and to evaluate its concrete impact on the ground. I look forward to our upcoming discussions on ways to make the GCTF even more concrete and even more relevant for all of us. Thank you very much for your attention.
معالي السيد سامح شكري وزير الشؤون الخارجية جمهورية مصر العربية الشقيقة. Monsieur Charles Fries, secrétaire général adjoint du service d'action extérieure de la Commission européenne. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, friends and colleagues. At the outset, I would like to extend on behalf of the Kingdom of Morocco deep thanks and gratitude to the Arab Republic of Egypt for their generous hospitality and for their efforts in hosting us. Today marks the end of Morocco's co-chairmanship of GCTF, a position that my country assumed for 3 consecutive mandates since 2015. First with the Netherlands, then Canada, and finally alongside the European Union. Morocco contributed to steering the efforts of the GCTF with humility, commitment, dedication, and determination to uphold and defend the forum's vision, values, and attributes. This approach reflects Morocco's spirit of collaboration, its engagement towards active multilateralism, and its strong commitment to the principle of solidarity and international cooperation in line with the philosophy, the fundamentals, and the high guidelines of His Majesty Mohammed VI's vision for Morocco's foreign policy. And I can personally look back with full assurance that we have lived up to this commitment. Over the course of 8 years, Morocco has embarked in an exciting journey to steer the GCTF efforts as a crucial platform for international cooperation on counterterrorism. We are honored for the trust and the confidence that have been placed in us, as we have dedicated the best of our efforts to promoting the forum's vision and values. We have strived to maintain the uniqueness of GCTF as a platform of effective multilateralism for countering current and emerging terrorist challenges. We have worked together toward bringing concrete and innovative CTA responses. And thanks to the collective engagement of all GCTF members and non-members, we have made remarkable strides and achieved outstanding endeavors. Continuing on this commitment, Morocco's engagement to the GCTF mission will remain unequivocal. We will spare no effort to pursue advancing the forum's vision and goals and to collaborate with its member states in good faith and determination to promote the practical use of its outcomes. I would like to seize this opportunity to thank each and every one of you for your support and collaboration, which have greatly contributed to the success of Morocco's co-chairmanship. I also would like to express my deep personal appreciation and gratitude to the admin unit team, actually teams, for their relentless efforts and valuable support. On challenge after challenge, the admin unit has proven pivotal in shaping the forum's work and driving its activities. My heartfelt wishes for the full success and fruitful co-chairmanships go to the Arab Republic of Egypt and the European Union, and I want to assure them of my country's continued support to the success of their mandate. Thank you all, and wishing you a successful coordinating committee meeting. I thank you for your kind attention.
شكرا جزيلا. أود مجددا أن أعرب عن فائق التقدير
To express our deepest appreciation for the Kingdom of Morocco for the exceptional performance we've seen during its co-chairing of the forum and its appreciated efforts to activate its role as a pioneering platform that contributes to the development of the international system dedicated to combating terrorism and extremism. We pledge to build on these efforts during our period of co-chairing in collaboration with our partners in the European Union in order to enhance the forum's role and maximize benefiting from its outcomes and making them in line with the needs of the concerned states, especially in the African continent. Thank you very much.